Welcome back, Spellcasters. Troopa coming back at you with another video. Sort of an unboxing video, but I want to try something different. What I have here is a box of play booster box of Strixhaven. The factory seal is still on it. My intention is for us to open up 6 packs, show you guys how to build a pre-release deck just based on the cards that you pull out of there. And then I wanted to go over a strategy on how to build a standard deck based on the cards that you pull out of the set. Now, my intention is to only use the cards that are within the set in order to build the standard deck. What I'll do after I go through unboxing the video, I'll play test the deck a little bit. I'll let you know what strategies worked out really well, what strategies didn't work out well, and then what we'll do is we'll actually bring that standard deck to one of our local standard nights at one of the local stores that I go to. If I don't win, no worries. My only goal here is to have fun, and so should yours. So let's go ahead. Let's open up this box, and then I'll go over some of the different strategies on exactly how I plan to put together a pre-release deck, just to kind of show you how to figure out what your win conditions are, and then we'll go into building a standard deck after we've opened up the rest of the box. So let's get right into it. Like I said before, we're just going to open up the first 6 packs of this. So let's go ahead, let's open up the box. We're only going to pull out 6 packs, and then we'll get to check out what it would look like if I were to put together a pre-release kit. So there are 5 main archetypes that they put into the set. There's Silver Quill, which is your white-black, Ripper T aggro, Prismari, which is your blue-red Opus Spellcasting, Witherbloom, which is your black-green Life Gain Swarm, Lorehold, which is your white-red Flashback Excavation, and then Quandrix, which is your blue-green Incremental Value. You obviously don't have to go with these 5 color pairings. I likely will because they have a lot of synergy together, but if you're at your pre-release, probably wouldn't have needed to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort through all the cards. I'd sort them out by color, multicolor, as well as non-colors, and lands all have their own piles. I'm also going to go through each one and kind of figure out what the really good cards are in each color, and then make a decision based on those for what deck I want to build. Okay, now that we've gone through and sorted out all the cards, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at what my win conditions would be, kind of how I want to strategize, exactly how I'm going to get to those win conditions, and all the supporting cards that are going to get me there. So let's hop back in. You can kind of see exactly how I sort them out, how I go through each of them, figure out exactly what cards are going to work for me and which ones are going to work better for other strategies. What might end up coming out of it is I might build 2 decks, both that synergize really well together. The only thing that I will do is I will pick one, and I'll just kind of show you exactly how I built that, how I came to the conclusion for the combinations that I wanted to use, and exactly the numbering system that I use is kind of the typical. It will depend on the strategy that I'm going for. If I'm using less mana, I might go for 15, 16 lands. 15 would be the absolute lowest that I'd probably go. If I'm going for a more land strategy, like more of a control strategy, I might go a little bit higher. But for this one, really, all I'm going to do, just take a look at the win conditions, figure out what other cards synergize with that win condition, how to get there, and then I'll show you the exact build that I would use, along with the lands that I might put together for picking those. Right off the bat, one thing that I noticed was that there was a lot of the Prismari or Izzet cards that would kind of synergize together when I was opening the pack. So I decided to kind of sort through those first, and then decided to pull as many cards that were within that color pairing together to try to see if that color pairing would work best. So just going through, I saw that there was a few really strong cards. I was pretty happy with the color pairing at this point in time. So I decided to kind of sort through and figure out how many creatures I had, how many instants, sorceries, or artifacts or enchantments that I had to see if there was any strategy there. Now, as you can obviously tell, I've sorted through, moved a few of the cards into the wrong piles. So this top pile that I have here, or any lands or anything extra, second row of cards was supposed to be creatures. Stock up is not a creature, so that was in the wrong pile. And yeah. All right, so looking at this layout right now, considering that I do not have enough creatures for this layout, because our goal is to try to hit 17 creatures, 16 minimum, typically. If you're running a little short on creatures between the color pairing that you're going with, I highly recommend you can either calculate some of the spells that will give you creatures as part of your mana base for your creatures. However, considering I'm looking at a lot of these are destruction spells. There's not a whole lot of spells that are going to give me more creatures. A lot of draw power. Well, the synergy would be nice, and your bomb would be your Zephyr and the Tempests. But considering that there are not enough creatures, I would not go with this color pairing. So I'm going to go ahead and mix all this back up together. I'm going to try to figure out another color pairing, and then let's see if that one will work. So the Prismari strategy wasn't going to work out for me, so packed up all the blue cards. There were some synergies with red. I could still kind of use that. I know that the lore hold strategy with white-red flashback was a great combination. I used that during my pre-release. It ends up working phenomenally. The nice thing about having cards with flashback is you get to use them twice if you haven't discarded or surveilled some of those cards to the grave. Because of that, I was able to kind of see it from a few different views. Either you could build it to where you're looking at it from the side of building a wide board strategy where you're building up a lot of tokens, especially with that Antiquities card. And some of the other cards that were in here were going to synergize with cards moving from the graveyard. So I figured this would be the best strategy for now. Okay, so this layout is looking a lot cleaner. What I've got here is I have 21 creatures. Your bombs, unfortunately, I didn't, in this color pairing, there's not too many. Transcendent Archaic is probably going to be your biggest creature, so your 6/6, as well as the Colossus of Blood Age. The other big one that's going to help you out a lot here is the Antiquities on the Loose. Because you can cast it once, get the 2/2 red and white spirit creature tokens, and then you can flashback it so you can activate it again. Likely, this is the color combination I'm going to go with, which is interesting because this was actually the color combination that I went with whenever I did my actual pre-release. Unfortunately, how I did it with my pre-release was I focused on the flashback mechanic. This time, I'm going to build this deck to focus heavily on generating tokens. So what I'm likely going to do is try to sort these ones out. I might add 1 or 2 other creatures from the other colors that may or may not help my strategy, only because I've seen this color pairing before and I kind of have a few cards that are in the other color pairs that might help out. So let me go ahead and sort this out, try to figure out the deck, and then I'll do a breakdown of it. So I've used this lore hold strategy during pre-release. It's a great color pairing, especially for this set, especially if you're playing limited. What I ended up doing was I saw that Postmortem Professor was in my set again. I do like using Postmortem Professor with this color pairing, mostly because Postmortem Professor can move in and out of the graveyard. You attack with it, it goes to the grave, exile an instant or a sorcery that doesn't have flashback, you can add that Postmortem Professor back to your hand. Now my goal here, typically whenever I'm deck building, is to use 17 creatures, 6 instant sorceries, and enchantment or artifacts, and then 17 lands. Now you can flex those in and out depending on the color pairing that you're using, as well as your mana curve. Mostly the mana curve's going to drive it. I would never go less than 15 lands. So now that I have figured out the layout that I want, my intention for this one, because my mana is a little bit higher, I'm going to end up using 17 lands in this one. 17 will be a good number to help keep me flooding. I'm not running this as much of an aggro build, so I don't need to have the mana basis on the lower end. However, considering I do have the 2 creatures that are black pips, I will be adding a little bit of additional black mana into my pool, so I'll add probably 2 swamps. The Potioner's Trove should help us out a little bit with some of that mana basis, but for this build, one thing that I'm going to go through with is making sure that there's enough destruction so that there's enough creatures that can attack through, as well as having flashback to allow some of those creatures to continue coming up and being able to use them later. So let me go into putting together this build, sleeving it up, do a test hand or 2 just to kind of show you exactly the lineups that I'd want to try to build towards. And then from there, we can go into opening up the rest of the box. I might do that on another day, but let's deep dive into sleeving this up, showing you exactly what the end result would look like so that you're aware and we can go through that. Okay, so after going through all of the cards that I have, what I usually do is I separate the monocolors from the multicolors, as well as from the well, that's pretty much it. So just to show you, I separated these out. So I have the all of the monocolored white, monocolor reds, and monocolored blacks into one pile. And what this does is this allows me to kind of see what color pairings I'm using and figure out how many pips. Considering this one has 2 whites and it's one of my bombs that I would like to use, or kind of one of my cards that's really good that's going to push me forward, I likely will have more white land than I will red or black. Now, considering that the reds are not going to take up too much of my mana pool, as well as the blacks are not going to take up too much of my mana pool, and considering that I have 2 lands that are red-white and white-black, white should be okay as long as I put in a majority of mana for them. I am going to keep the Sky Coach waypoint into this deck just to test it out. As for the mana pool, so that's 1, 2, 3 lands, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I've got 2 more than I was hoping for. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove 2 of the mountains. I think that should be okay. We do want to have more plains than we do mountains or swamps. I do want to keep 2 swamps just so I can make it to the Postmortem Professor, as well as the Grave Researcher whenever I need to. So let me go ahead, let's shuffle this up and let's test it out. So I'm going to speed up this part. I wanted to do a few test hands before wanted to commit to a deck like this. So we're going to play this first test hand. As you can see, we drew up 4 lands, but really no plays in this first hand. Not really a creature I could play until turn 3, until I got a black pip, which I would have had to pull the swamp. I would have gotten lucky there, but still wouldn't have been something that I would have wanted to have kept. So we go for a second hand. You can see we only got 2 lands, which was not going to be enough for the cards that we wanted to play in that hand. We go for one more test hand. Now this was probably over a time limit of probably 15 minutes. So if you have 15 minutes, that helps out at pre-release. If you don't have 15 minutes, I would say do your best to put together a deck with what you have. Here I'm kind of reconsidering the third color that I splashed. So I'm deciding whether I want to keep Postmortem Professor or the Grave Researcher. Ended up keeping Postmortem Professor. I really like this card. It can add itself back to the battlefield, move itself out of the graveyard. So I decided to throw in the Fire Singer. And then we did another test hand. You can see that would have drawn that Grave Researcher again as the replacement. But that hand looked a lot better. We're going to test out another hand. This hand looked a lot better as well. So this probably would have been the deck I would have gone with for pre-release. And I think this would have been the best way to go. So thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, where I'm going to open up the rest of the Strixhaven box, and we'll try to build a standard deck from there. So thanks for joining in. Tagging out.